Hosting services for fctv.org are provided by MegaNet Communications. MegaNet offers a wide array of internet services, including Mega Backup Cloud Service, server co-location, T1, fiber, Metro Ethernet, as well as telephone services such as hosted PBX and digital voice. Their number one goal is to keep your communications network up and running and allow you to focus on growing your business. 877-634-2638 or meganet.net.
Proudly serving the New England area, K&K Talent Partners provide a personalized approach to full-cycle recruiting services.
Their level of integrity and empathy is rare, and it speaks volumes about who they are as people and as recruitment partners.
Our goal is to build trusted relationships and to create genuine connections that help companies grow.
K&K Talent Partners, kktalentpartners.com.
At Martha's Vineyard Bank, we know Falmouth, with locations in Woods Hole, on Palmer Avenue, and the Village Green. We deliver personal banking tailored to your needs, business solutions to help you grow, flexible lending to move you forward, and investment strategies that work for you. Whatever brings you in, we're your local partner. Martha's Vineyard Bank, your goals, our guidance.
Okay, good evening. I'm going to call to order the Town of Falmouth Select Board regular meeting for Monday, June 1st, 2026. It is 6 p.m. and we have two matters on for executive session. Number one, M.G.L. Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, review and consider approval of proposed settlement for a personal injury claim with a third-party insurance company pursuant to Section 6513 of the town bylaws. And number two would be M.G.L. Section 30A, Section 21A3, discuss the threat of potential litigation. Do I have a motion to go into executive session? A motion and
Do you need one motion for each?
no, I think we can just do the whole thing here. Second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second by roll call. Muscali, aye.
Goldstone, aye.
Brown eye.
Klein, aye.
Reed, aye.
Okay, we will adjourn and be back at 6:30. Thank you. Okay, the board has returned from executive session, and I will now call to order the regular meeting of the Town of Falmouth Select Board. Please join with me with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, the next item is the reorganization of the board. So it is customary after the May elections that the board reorganizes. And I have a very short statement here. Serving as chair the past 12 months has been a privilege and an honor and one of the most rewarding experiences of my life. I've decided not to seek reappointment as chair due to personal and professional commitments that require my attention, and I believe it is the best interest of the board that there be new leadership at this town. I want to thank my vice chair, Dr. Goldstone, and the other members of the board for their support and dedication to the town throughout the past year, as well as to Mr. Renshaw and Mr. Johnson's staff. Together we have faced challenges, celebrated achievements, and worked towards a vision that reflects the values and community engagement that defines our town. I'm deeply proud of what we have accomplished, and I am confident that with new leadership, we will continue to guide the town of Falmouth with integrity and a strong sense of purpose. At this time, I would like to recognize our newest member of the Select Board, Elizabeth Klein. And I will open the floor for nominations for the positions of chair and vice chair.
I'd like to make a nomination for Dr. Heather Goldstone as chair.
I'll second that motion just so we have it on the floor. Dr. Goldstone?
I would be honored to accept that nomination, and if you permit a brief, I ran for office because I saw that our town had major issues that we needed to be confronting, and we heard at the first of our strategic planning sessions this past year that each of us similarly expressed that we had joined this board to tackle those big issues. As you alluded to, I think we've made a lot of progress in my time on the board in surfacing some issues that are a bit overdue, in starting to develop action plans, tackle things like our long-term finances, coastal resilience, and housing. And I think we're at a point where we need to really step up and level up how this board is working together as a team, both the select board and with town management, as we go into the next couple of years of grappling with the competing demands of housing, of wastewater infrastructure, of other infrastructure needs around the town, and our tight finances. And I think that I have skills to help us do that. I'm a trained and certified facilitative leader. What does that mean? It means I've spent a bunch of time gaining a skill set to help groups coalesce around a shared vision and work strategically to achieve that. And in particular with this board, I would hope to, well, first I will paraphrase something that was recently said to me by Representative Dave Vieira, that elections are a competition, governing is a team sport. And for us to be a team that works really well together, we need to recognize that we all have different strengths. We bring different constituencies and different life experiences. I will never know as much about the law as you do, Mr. Muscali, or about construction as you do, Mr. Brown. And I think we should see those differences and leverage them as collective strengths rather than individual weaknesses. And so that is the tone and the working mode that I would like to try to bring to the board as chair.
Mr. Brown? If I could, I will say now that I have reached out to each of you and indicated I too was hoping to be chair. The reason for that is a couple of things. One is, it's taken a long time to get things on the agenda. For the whole year, I asked about the financial joint meeting with the Finance Committee, and I know it takes time to put these numbers together, and I appreciate that. But I think there's one thing, the other primary thing that I struggled for a whole year to get on was that communications policy, and I really think that's a weakness that we have right now. And if I were chair, I would be answering many of the emails that I have listed here that these people are still waiting to hear from us over the course of this last month. And now we talked about that need a month and a half, 2 months ago. I don't really see anything that's really changed. And just talking about it doesn't really do it. And I feel like that is one of the main reasons I would be willing to be chair again. I know I'm not nominated right now, but I'm in my 4th term. I've indicated that this is probably my last couple of years on the board. I would appreciate your consideration of supporting me in that role for the reasons I've given. And I got a long list of other things that I'm not going to go into because I don't want to have an unpleasant conversation here. I think we're a good board. I think we work well together. I think either one of us would do a good job. So I'm not in fear of failure, but I'm just making my case that I will respond to the emails. I challenge you, if you're going to be chair, to do the same, or at least participate in some way, because I really haven't seen, I don't know how that's really working. Like I said, I've got a bunch of people that have been reaching out to me saying, why am I not hearing back when I send requests to be on the agenda? And when I ask for questions about issues, it's important that we be responsive. So that's my case.
I couldn't agree more, and I do think it's important that we be responsive. I do want to also be realistic, recognizing that every single member of this board also has another full-time job. But as chair, I would commit to responding to all emails or ensuring that there was a response, if appropriate, from town management within 48 hours of receiving that email. And I also, to your point with the agenda, would have a proposal for tackling at least some of the larger issues, potential workshop issues, so that by mid-July, we have a tentative outline for the coming year of what those larger topics would be and when we would be tackling those.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else? Anything to say? Ms. Klein?
Thank you, Mr. M.G.L. I spoke with both Mr. Brown and Dr. Goldstone in the last week regarding this and have heard from residents of Falmouth as I was going about my week and seeing people in the store and in other places, and hearing from them how they thought what they thought would be a good direction for the board to go. And I have a lot of respect for both Mr. Brown and Dr. Goldstone, having worked with them in different capacities. At this time, I would say that my vote will remains with Dr. Goldstone, with, again, Mr. Brown, the utmost respect.
All right.
Okay.
I'll think about it.
Okay, I will ask in public, can we make the appointment of Dr. Goldstone unanimous by this board? I'll vote aye.
Aye.
Is that a make a deal? I guess I'll vote for that too then.
Okay, thank you, Doug.
Thank you for your support. Oh, boy. Okay.
Taking too long for me.
All
Now
sorts
it's
of
official.
paraphernalia.
So we now have a position for vice chair. Is there a nomination for the vice chair position? Dr. Goldstone?
I'm going to, I have spoken with Mr. Brown about this multiple times. I will extend the offer of a nomination one last time. Mr. Brown, if you would accept that or not, that's up to you.
I'll just cruise on my last couple of years, I think.
In that case, I will...
You will never just cruise, Mr. Brown, we know that.
Had to try. But thank you for obviously serving in any capacity. So with that, I will nominate Mr. Reed.
I'll second that nomination. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair, I just had one comment, if
Yes.
you would allow me. So historically, the vice chair has been, wears the hat of secretary or clerk to the select board. I'd recommend we formalize that with this vote, so that going forward, the vice chair also serves in that capacity as clerk to the select board.
Are you willing to undertake that position,
Can
Mr.
you
Reed?
provide a brief overview of what is entailed in the role of clerk? I remember fulfilling it once in the past year, which was 2 weeks ago, so.
It is a very limited role when there are votes. The only time I've seen it is when there is a vote on a bond and there's a signature required for the clerk. There may be some other documents that I'm not remembering where a clerk's signature is required, but it does not require any additional time.
You don't have to fix the minutes?
With that, I would amend my nomination to nominate Mr. Reed as vice chair and clerk of the select board.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, congratulations, Mr. Reed.
All right, with that, we can move on to proclamations. And Mr. M.G.L, had you spoken to any members in particular about reading these proclamations?
I have not, but I'd be happy to read at least one of them.
Okay. Well, let's start with the Pride Day proclamation, if you would do the honors.
Okay, this is a proclamation for Falmouth Pride Day. Step right up for Pride. Whereas Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Pride Month, LGBTQIA+ Pride Month, is celebrated each year in the month of June to commemorate the 1969 Stonewall riots in Manhattan that marked the beginning of the gay rights movement in the United States. For generations, LGBTQIA+ Americans have summoned the courage to live authentically and proudly, even when it meant putting their lives and livelihoods at risk. In 1969, at the Stonewall Inn in New York, brave LGBTQIA+ individuals protested the violence and marginalization they faced, boosting a civil rights movement for the liberation of LGBTQIA+ people that has transformed our nation. Since then, courageous LGBTQIA+ Americans continue to inspire and bring hope to all people seeking a life true to who they are. LGBTQIA+ people also continue to enrich every aspect of American life as educators, entertainers, entrepreneurs, athletes, actors, artists, scientists, scholars, diplomats, doctors, service members, veterans, and so much more. Whereas the town of Falmouth is committed to celebrating diversity, working to diminish isolation, bias, and prejudice, and to promoting connections within the LGBTQIA+ community, with the community of allies, and with the community at large. And whereas transgender, two-spirit, and non-binary people in particular face severe and increasingly daunting challenges and threats that demand our attention and response. And whereas the town of Falmouth prides itself on being a welcoming and inclusive community that celebrates diversity and takes justifiable pride in the efforts and accomplishments of LGBTQIA+ residents. Now, therefore, we, Robert P. Miscali, Heather M.H. Goldstone, Douglas C. Brown, Colin W. Reed, and Elizabeth M. Klein, as the Select Board of the Town of Falmouth, do hereby declare June 12, 2026, to be Pride Day in Falmouth, in witness whereof we have hereunto set our hands and caused the Great Seal of the Town of Falmouth to be affixed this day, Monday, June 1st, 2026. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And two quick announcements related to that. The Woods Hole Pride Parade is this Saturday, and the town's Pride celebration will be the following Friday on June 12th. We have another proclamation. June is a fun month. For Juneteenth, Mr. Brown, would you care to do the honors?
Sure.
Yep. You got this, Doug.
Okay. Town of Falmouth, Massachusetts, Juneteenth Community Proclamation. Oops, excuse me. Whereas Juneteenth, officially recognized as Juneteenth National Independence Day, commemorates June 19th, 1865, the historic day when Major General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston, Texas, and enforced the Emancipation Proclamation, marking the final liberation of enslaved African Americans. And whereas Juneteenth symbolizes the resilience, determination, and achievements of African Americans while serving as a reminder of our nation's complex history and the enduring pursuit of freedom, justice, and equality. And whereas the Commonwealth of Massachusetts formally recognizes Juneteenth as a state holiday, and in 2021, the United States designated it as a federal holiday, further acknowledging its profound significance to American history and culture. Whereas the town of Falmouth is committed to fostering racial unity, promoting social justice, and ensuring that the lessons of history contribute to a more welcoming, inclusive, and equitable future for all residents. And whereas Juneteenth provides an opportunity for education, reflection, and action, allowing the Falmouth community to remember the past, celebrate the contributions of civil rights leaders, and work toward racial reconciliation and justice for all. And whereas Falmouth is dedicated to educating its residents about the importance of Juneteenth, including cultural traditions such as the Liberation Ceremony, celebrating both past and present civil rights leaders, and promoting understanding and healing to strengthen racial relationships for future generations. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the town of Falmouth does hereby recognize June 19th, 2026 as Juneteenth Independence Day, and encourages all residents, businesses, and community organizations to observe this day with meaningful reflection, education, and community engagement. In witness whereof, we, Robert P. Miscali, Heather M.H. Goldstone, Douglas C. Brown, Colin W. Reed, and Elizabeth M. Klein, as members of the Select Board of the Town of Falmouth, do hereby affix our signatures and seal this first day of June 2026.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, great. Okay, great. So moving on to recognitions. Are there, do you have anything? No?
Did you guys have anything?
I'd like to recognize the Bike and Pedestrian Committee for a fabulous jubilee on a rainy Saturday, making lemonade out of lemons, I guess. Still a lot of fun, even though it was all inside. And I think some hardy folks actually still got out there and biked and walked, so that's terrific. Walk for Hope was Sunday. Ms. Klein, do you want to jump in?
There was a great event on Sunday. There were 3 Walk for Hopes, all organized by HAC. And the Falmouth one was well attended, had great energy. We had much better weather than the Bike and Pedestrian Committee. And so that was a really fun event. And it was nice that it recognized belonging to each other as was their organization that they chose to honor for the year as doing great work in the community.
Mm-hmm.
If there are no others, I will recognize our own Mr. Mascali on the event of his 75th birthday. And we won't sing, but we'll give you a round of applause. Congratulations and happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the recognition.
All right. Are there announcements?
Yes. On Friday morning, the Wounded Warriors will ride from North Falmouth down the bike path to Woods Hole and back. So if you have any time, they start off at 9:30 in North Falmouth. Just pop out to the bikeway and cheer them on as they go by. It's a great event. We host it every year. I think it's 14 or 15 years we've been doing it. So they love coming to Falmouth. It's great.
Yep. Ms. Klein?
This is an event on June 13th, so we do have another meeting before then, but just to get it on people's calendars, it's a Saturday morning event from 8 to 10, being hosted by the Falmouth Veterans Center. It's the 3rd in their series, all about financial fraud, in particular financial fraud that's targeting older individuals and veterans. And this time they have a great guest speaker. They have Rebecca Dutra, who's the Massachusetts Attorney General, will be speaking and then participating in discussion. So I went to one of them. It was a great event, and I would strongly encourage people to show up.
Good one.
Quick reminder that June 13th is also Arts Alive. Lots of fun downtown. And would be remiss if we didn't say a congratulations a little in advance to the graduates of Falmouth High School who will be graduating on Saturday.
All right.
And I just announced we did receive an email from Representative Vieira that the bill with respect to the Licensing Commission here in Falmouth has moved forward to 3rd reading, so it's moving forward and hopefully will be passed before the expiration of this session.
That is excellent news. Thank you. If there are no other announcements, Mr. Town Manager, for your report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I do have 3 items. First and foremost, and a topic that is on everyone's mind in the community, North Falmouth Elementary School roof. As you all have been briefed, on April 23rd of this year, the school became aware of some structural issues with regards to wooden trusses in multiple areas of the roof at North Falmouth High School, and immediately impacted room 40. There's subsequently been a second room that was impacted. The reason I want to give this brief debrief is the fact that we had on this agenda this evening an item to consider, for the Select Board to consider calling a special town meeting on July 20th. The reason for that request was because we were told, based upon engineering analysis and evaluations, that the necessary repairs to the roof, the trusses of North Falmouth Elementary School, that cost would be about $1.9 million. Not having that, that funding available would have required us to have a special called meeting to appropriate that sum. Importantly, and I want to commend Paul Darts over at the school department and a lot of the school staff actually. They have been doing a lot of work over the past several weeks, meeting with their engineer, looking at the roof and ways that we could go about repairing it. Most recently, and this is very important, Maya, our insurance carrier, also was engaged in those meetings, retained an engineer who did an evaluation of the roof, and then, this is really significant, made the determination that the damage to 2/3 of the roof, they divided the elementary school roof system into 3 segments. 2/3 of the roof, Maya, our engineer, made the determination that it was a covered peril. In other words, the storms from January and February and the snow load on the roof caused the damage to those trusses. Therefore, insurance will cover 2/3 of the cost of the $1.9 million. Importantly, and we learned this last Friday during a virtual meeting with Maya and the engineers. They're also looking at the remaining, the balance third of the school roof, because there is a very real potential that also will be covered in full by insurance. We won't know that, unfortunately, for the next perhaps week, but as soon as we learn that, I'll pass that information on. So when we learned on Friday morning that insurance was going to cover a significant portion of those costs, I made the decision to remove the Select Board's consideration for the called special town meeting from the agenda. So I just wanted to let the community know that's the reason. It appeared when we released the agenda last Thursday and was taken off on Friday morning after that meeting. The second item I wanted to brief you all on in the aftermath of the epic failure that was the Memorial Day launch of the new trash containers from Nauset Disposal. Myself, as well as many of you, were fielding calls during that weekend of Memorial Day. Nauset owned the disaster. Approximately 1,000 of the 35-gallon carts were erroneously delivered to folks that did not order them. I want to thank Peter McConerty, our DPW director, because last week, Wednesday, he called a meeting with Nauset representatives high up their food chain. Nauset again owned it and said that within a week they were going to go back out, send their subcontractor back out and pick up the erroneously delivered 35-gallon containers and replace those with the appropriate 65 or 95-gallon containers. And according to, I spoke with Mr. McConerty this morning, and he got a report from Nauset that they are confident that the majority of the erroneously delivered carts have been picked up. There's no more phone requests from residents through either Nauset's office or ours for any additional pickups. So I think I'm confident that we've addressed the vast majority of that. Now we're just in the process of delivering the balance of the 35-gallon, 65-gallon, and 95-gallon carts. I wanted to also mention as part of this briefing, because Nauset did own that issue, that if anyone in the community is still dissatisfied with the carts that they had delivered, I'm going to encourage you to contact Nauset. They have a hotline set up. It is monitored. It's not going to be a voicemail. I'm told that you will get a response. 508-255-1419 is that number. And also an email of Falmouth at nausetdisposal.com. If anybody has any remaining issues with regards to the carts that were delivered or has not received the proper cart, please give either that number a call or send an email to Nauset, because they have committed to fixing the issue. And lastly, I wanted to provide the Select Board and the community an update. As you all know, our Finance Director, Laura Citron, retired last Friday, May 29th. We have been in the process for the past several weeks of interviewing. We did a first-round interview with 3 candidates a few weeks ago, and we just had our second-round interview on Friday, May 29th, with 2 very highly qualified candidates based upon the results of reference and background checks that we're going to be doing now. We're confident we'll be able to get a person in that position over the next month or so. By early July, we should have somebody in that position. And Madam Chair, that's all I have to report.
Thank you very much.
If I could just second comment, thanks to Laura for her service and especially the hard work that she did in her last time in that office, when a lot of times when people are retiring, they slow down a little bit, and she turned it up to get us all those facts and figures to have before she left. So that was great. Sets a good foundation for the next person coming in.
Absolutely, thoroughly agree. All right, public comment. Public comment may be made on routine matters not on the agenda this evening. Comments are limited to 2 minutes. Please introduce yourself, and since the matter has not been included on the agenda, the Select Board may not participate in discussion of the topic. Do we have, yes? Is it up there now? Either one. Either one is fine. I think that's fine.
Okay. Introduce myself as Nan Garrett Logan. Live on Woods Hole Road, and I'm also part of the Falmouth Gun Safety Coalition. Congratulations to the elected new and veteran Select Board members, and thank you all for doing the work you do. It's a lot of work, and you need a lot of credit for it. So this coming weekend is known across the country as Wear Orange Weekend. Began in 2015. It was both to remember Haida Pendleton and to establish orange as the color we wear for gun violence prevention. Haida had just returned home after playing with her school band at the presidential inauguration in January 2013, when she was killed in a random shooting in her neighborhood. Her friends and family were looking for a way to honor her memory. They came up with the idea of wearing orange on her birthday every year. She would have been celebrating her 28th birthday tomorrow, June 2nd. The idea spread across the country. Beyond wearing orange, some towns light bridges and monuments in orange for the weekend. So why orange? Some of you have heard this from me in various places, because it's the color we wear to prevent being shot when we're out walking in the woods and fields. So the Falmouth Gun Safety Coalition has made orange ribbons for you, the select board, to wear anytime, especially this coming weekend. Beyond this, the Falmouth Gun Safety Coalition has been busy with a variety of violence prevention and gun safety activities. We have new brochures that address both ends of the age spectrum, one on gun safety at children's play dates and another on gun safety and aging. We've been making them available through the Senior Center and the Daycare Network at Children's Coalition. Our favorite activities are the information tables we pop up at community events, where we offer free gun locks, suggest alternatives to firearms for self-defense, and enjoy the many conversations we have with gun owners and others in the community and visitors.
Ms. Logan, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to ask you to wrap up. That's your 2 minutes.
Yep, we're present at farmers markets and the senior center, and please stop by to say hello when you see us. And meantime, remember to wear orange this coming weekend, wherever you are. And so, with that, start at this end and see where I run out. I don't know if I have 8 of everything. I know I at least have 5.
Excellent. All right.
My goodie bag, party favors. Yeah, Nancy Copley designed these. I lost them when she
Excellent.
made them.
Thank you.
I made you these, my special.
Thank you, Dave.
And you guys get the ribbons, even if you didn't.
Ms. Russell, for your comment, come on up.
Town member, Precinct 4, and Mr. Renshaw actually answered a lot of the questions that I had, so I appreciate that. Thank you. My biggest concern right now regarding the North Falmouth Elementary School roof and structural issues is oversight. I've sent this in emails, no one has responded, so I think from maybe a good angle going forward is just to kind of just maybe publicly ask questions. Right now, who's overseeing this project going forward? So in 2024, the district did contract with Next Level OPM as a master services project manager through 2028, but he's nowhere to be seen now, and allegedly walked off the job of the roof sometime in July. So there's some concerns, right? And who's overseeing this? I don't feel like a finance director and a head custodian of an elementary school are qualified to oversee this project going forward. Maybe there's plans for that. If there is, I hope so, but we have not been made aware of any of that. No one can ask questions, apparently. So that's a concern. And if it's defaulting to the insurance company being the oversight, like anybody who's worked with insurance, like they're going to do the bare minimum. And if the insurance company does not cover the other third or two, like all those trusses need reinforcement, if not replacement. So we already seen the result of what happens when you reinforce one truss and the load-bearing weight now went to another truss, and so on and so forth, right? So I don't think money should be an issue at this point, though that entire wing of North Falmouth Elementary needs to be reinforced before the beginning of the school year. It's going to be a domino effect. And it's very concerning that prior to children returning to school, there was not one single inspection done of that new roof assembly, which was structurally and calculated to be heavier than what was recommended to go on there. So right from the beginning of this roof project, there were a lot of things that were not done that should have been done that could have prevented this. And all winter, those kids have been in that building with a roof above them on the brink of collapse, as it was explained to me, okay? All winter. One more snow event and that would have come down. That side of the building would have collapsed.
Ms. Russell, I appreciate your concern. I'm sorry, that's your 2 minutes.
I'm sorry, it's just, and I would appreciate actual documentation maybe being presented to the public of like the required structural load capacity tests that should have been done. If they're done, just present them. It's really simple. Thank you.
Is there anyone else for public?
I just want to submit my emails and the structural requirements from the design plans into the official record for today's meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else for public comment? Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Starting with licenses. Consider a vote to approve an application by Bad Martha's Farmers Brewery LLC, 876 East Falmouth Highway, East Falmouth, for a change of officers, directors, and LLC manager. 2, consider a vote to approve the application by West Falmouth Library, 575 West Falmouth Highway, for a special one-day wine and malt beverages license for a garden party on June 13th, 2026, from 5 to 7 p.m. for approximately 120 guests. 3, consider a vote to approve the application by West Falmouth Library, 575 West Falmouth Highway, for a special one-day wine and malt beverages license for their annual auction on July 11th, 2026, from 5 to 7 p.m. for approximately 120 guests. Administrative orders. 1, and I'm going to hold this one. Discuss and consider a vote to approve a letter opposing the Steamship Authority's use of a 5:30 a.m. ferry service out of Woods Hole. 2, consider a vote to approve a request from the Falmouth Police Department to accept a donation of a Zoll automatic external defibrillator valued at $1,973.06 from Bands for Badges for placement in a police cruiser to assist officers during emergency response and critical incidents. 3, consider a request for a variance to sign code 184-32 off-premises signs for the placement of 13 off-premises lawn signs for artisans at the harbor to be held on Thursdays from June 25 to August 27, 2026. 4, and I'm going to hold this one as well. Consider a vote to approve a request from John Wesley United Methodist Church for a reduction of the special event permit fee for worship services at Surf Drive Beach on Sundays from 7/5 through 8/30/26, except 7/12 and 8/16. Number 5, consider a vote to approve a request from Falmouth Farmers Market for a reduction in the special event permit fee for the Falmouth Farmers Markets at Marina Park, 180 Scranton Ave, from 5/21 to 10/15/26. Number 6, consider a vote to approve the petition by NSTAR Electric Company, DBA Eversource Energy, and Verizon New England, Inc. for permission to install 11 new mid-span JO poles labeled 429/1 through 5, 429-2-5, 429/3-5, 429/4-5, 429/5-5, 429/6-5, 429/7-5, 429/8-5, 429/9-5, 429/10-5, and 429/11-5 in the right-of-way of Nathan Ellis Highway in Falmouth. These pole locations are necessary to provide system improvements and increased reliability to Nathan Ellis Highway in Falmouth.
Hold, please.
And number 7, consider a vote to approve and sign the town's response letter to the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities 30-day notice of an application for a project eligibility letter regarding the housing project at Locust Field Road. Do I have a motion to approve?
Madam Chair, I'll move the consent agenda except for administrative orders number 1, 4, and 6.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Administrative orders number 1, discuss and consider a vote to approve a letter opposing the Steamship Authority's use of a 5:30 a.m. ferry service out of Woods Hole I was not fast enough to get 2 minor edits to town management in advance of the packet. I would like, while it seems nitpicking, to change 2 words in the letter. In the first paragraph, from use a 5:30 a.m. ferry to utilize, operate. And in the final paragraph, changing implore to urge. I see Mr. Kriska is here, and I want to emphasize the portion of the letter that does say we appreciate the extent of outreach and communication and consideration, that it feels like there's been a real change in tenor at the Steamship Authority. I still feel that in sending this letter, it's important that we make clear that the 5:30 a.m. ferry is not a passive. It is something that the Steamship Authority is choosing to operate, and I don't feel that this board should be in the position of imploring anyone. We're not begging for this. We're making a request. So,
I would just second your comments with respect to the apparent change in tone at the Steamship Authority. Appreciate Mr. Kriska's attendance here this evening, as well as a number of town events indicating, to my mind anyway, a willingness to be a part of this community. So just want to reiterate what you said, Chair Goldstone.
absolutely.
So I'll make a motion with respect to item number 1 with the edits as proposed by Chair Goldstone. Dr. Goldstone. Is there a second?
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Administrative order number 4, consider a vote to approve a request from John Wesley United Methodist Church for a reduction of the special event permit fee for worship services at Surf Drive Beach. I will share my concern. The reason that I held this is that I am not comfortable providing a financial subsidy for worship services. We are, of course, required to provide equitable access to town properties and facilities for religious organizations and their activities. But again, I'm not comfortable providing a financial subsidy specifically for worship activities. If someone else would, if the board is in favor of this, if someone else would like to make the motion in favor.
I'm going to make the motion to consider a vote to approve the request from John Wesley United Methodist Church for a reduction of the special event permit fee for worship services at Surf Drive Beach on Sundays from 7/5 to 8/30/26, noting that this has been consistently approved by this select board and predecessor board. So I'm going to make a motion in favor of the vote.
I'll second that. Also, there's no charge for attendance, so that's been part of our criteria for waiving fees, more so than whether or not it's religious-based.
I just have a question. Has in the past, this type of fee reduction been offered to other religious denominations in Falmouth?
To other religious?
Like other churches have applied for and received a reduction in permit fees. Has that happened in the past?
Can't think of one particularly. Maybe at Wacoit. I don't have a specific one to call on.
Yes, Madam Chair and Select Board Member Klein, the Wacoit Church may be one example. I can't definitively say 100%, but that may be another example.
Just
it's
curious
rare.
if it's something that has happened for other organizations.
It happens a lot for nonprofits, like at the band shell. They have music events that are open and free to the public. So that, to me, that's an important criteria.
Well, I hear Dr. Goldstone's argument that I am also less inclined to offer a fee waiver for religious organization. However, I think that, Mr. Brown makes a good point that these are services that are open to the public and anyone may attend them, and has become something of a tradition in Falmouth.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
No.
Okay.
And finally, item 6, Mr. Reed, consider a vote to approve the position of NSTAR, and please don't make me read all of those numbers and slashes and dashes again, but I'll turn it over to you.
will not pull a Jack Richardson to make you say it all over again. I've received comment from many folks from around town, not necessarily regarding these specific poles, but pole replacement in general. It seems that poles are serviced by a combination of Eversource and Verizon, and they're not well coordinated and debris is left behind. So my question is, we approve these, but where is the accountability for making sure the remaining poles, debris, and secondary poles are finalized? Because the complaints I'm hearing is that there is a lot of debris and old poles left behind. Otherwise, I'm in favor of this one. It's just a question of accountability.
Madam Chair and Select Board Member Reed, fantastic question. And what I can tell you is this: in the 3 years I've been here, the accountability, and I can mention a very specific recent example, right out front, the poles that are, looks like they're in Main Street and they're still standing. So I recently had a conversation with our regional Eversource liaison, who you all know, Ronit Goldstein, and she is committed, and she has, right now there was an issue with, I believe, National Grid and a gas line. They've cleared past that issue. Now it's just a matter of getting Eversource assets out there to remove the old poles. What Ronit explained to me is, and she's still working on this, the other utilities, the phone and internet lines are the holdups right now, and they're working with those utilities to have their assets, their lines moved.
If folks have one in their neighborhood that needs to be, where do we send them?
Honestly, to my office, because
Okay.
You asked the question about accountability and who oversees that and tries to enforce that and make Eversource do what they intended to do, and that would be my office. So okay. I would refer them to me, and I'll reach out.
Great, thank you. So with that, I move to approve Administrative Order B6 without reading all the numbers.
I will second, but I would actually, Mr. Renshaw, request, if possible, that with these, this new installation, if we could be a little bit more proactive. I know that Mr. McConerty has a great working relationship, and as does the whole DPW, with our Eversource colleagues, but if we could just have eyes on this project and ensure that we're not just waiting for community members to come to us with complaints.
Yes, Madam Chair, we'll make that a point.
That'd be terrific. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to public hearings. Mr. Reed, are you up for the public hearing notice?
Notice of public hearing, removal of public shade trees, Town of Falmouth, Department of Public Works, in accordance to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 87, Sections 3 and 4. Public hearing will be held today on Monday, June 1st, 2026 at 6:30 in the Falmouth Senior Center at 780 Main Street, Falmouth, Mass. to consider the removal of the following public trees, locations. 1, house number 122 Jericho Path, trees located on Hudson Street. Removal of 2 white oaks. Latin name, Caracus alba, maybe. Size, 19 inches and 15 inches. Reason, trees are in the path of the installation of a proposed driveway. The trees identified above have been posted for public inspection. Any objections to the removal must be submitted in writing to the tree warden prior to or during the hearing. The mailing address for the tree warden is Department of Public Works, Town of Falmouth, 416 Gifford Street, Falmouth, Massachusetts, 02540. Email jeremiah.pearson@falmouthma.gov. Phone 508-457-2543, extension 3008.
Thank you. And I believe the applicant is here. As you're making your way to the front, Mr. Renshaw, is there some background you'd like to provide?
Yes, Madam Chair, there is. And I just wanted to remind the Select Board that the applicant did drop off some additional plans. You should have those at your chairs. Madam Chair and Select Boards, the applicant, the homeowner, recently did some construction on the house. The tree warden was involved in going out and doing an evaluation of these 2 white oaks. The recommendation from the tree warden is that Select Board consider allowing the removal of the smaller 15-inch DBH white oak located on Hudson Street for the house at 122 Jericho path and to replace with another tree or trees, as the select board may so direct. And at this time, I'll turn it over to the applicant and answer any other questions you might have.
Thank you.
Thank you. Chris Ryder, 114 Winslow Road, principal of Novo Builds LLC. We're building the home at 122 Jericho Path on the corner of Jericho and Hudson. There are 2 trees that are at the entrance to the driveway. If you see the site plan that I provided to you earlier, we intend to mitigate with, first and foremost, 2 trees on Hudson that you can see before the driveway, as well as at least 8 other sizable trees and over 100 shrubs. This is our first time ever coming for a shade tree hearing. We're pro trees. We keep as many trees as possible. The more the better, and we're going to plant more trees than were there prior to us building this home. If you have any other questions, that's all I have.
Are there questions from the board?
So is it the applicant wants to remove 2 trees? Is that
Yes.
it? And Mr. Pearson is recommending that only 1 tree be removed. Do you want to speak to that and how the project would be affected if only 1 tree was removed?
Yeah, the 2 trees are square in the entrance to the driveway and the garage. I think from a safety standpoint, backing out of the garage onto the roadway or pulling in, the 2 trees are right next to each other. And that's probably the primary reason. And aesthetically, we think the 2 trees closer to Jericho on Hudson would better represent the street and the property.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So the current driveway is going, it looks from the photos, right? It's next to both of these trees, correct?
It's right in the middle, yeah.
Okay.
It's a proposed driveway.
Right, but I'm looking at the photographs. I mean, is there an existing home on this property?
It's framed inside it. It's under construction.
Because I think Mr. Pearson's point was that the smaller trees, as you said, they're right next to each other, right? And the smaller of the 2 trees is the one that he's recommending for removal because it can't grow properly in the way that it's sited. I would just push back and say that a 19-inch diameter oak tree has been there for some time, and it's not necessarily a one-to-one from a scientific and carbon storage standpoint to plant something to replace this. And as a real big conservationist, I would be in favor of Mr. Pearson's recommendation.
So, yeah, can you also, so we don't have, that I can find anything that actually shows us where the existing trees are. So what's on this plan is the proposed.
That's the proposed in the circle right at the gap. And on the site plan, you can see the permeable driveway. And that's where the 2 trees are, right smack in the center.
Yeah,
So Mr. Pearson's suggestion is that the driveway be moved. Is that possible?
I think anything's possible.
Would you consider?
I think it would negatively impact the homeowners or the future homeowners' desire to enter the driveway kind of straight into their garage versus backing up on an angle and pulling into the garage.
Just to...
It'd be a challenge.
Could I ask, how far along in the project are you now?
We're about 3 months out. We're blue board and plaster.
Oh, so you've already built everything?
Yes, everything's built.
Probably should have come here first, huh?
Ms. Klein, to your point, which I wholly agree, the number of trees does not reflect the full value of the trees. I appreciate that the recommendation is at the smaller. be cut and not the larger, and do also note that in our packet, it is noted that that it would require a minimum of 5 trees planted as replacement value, not a one-for-one.
We're recommending well exceeding that.
So these other trees along the other edge are new plantings that would be part of that replacement?
Those are all new, yep. Yeah, it's about 10 larger trees, all locally sourced, as well as, like I said, I know it's small font, and we're also flexible on what we plant. This was the homeowner's desire, but we're well in excess of that recommendation.
And that would be consistent with what Mr. Pearson suggested as an alternative if the 2 trees were cut down, I think.
The combined, yes, 34.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Are there comments from the public on this matter? Yes.
Thank you. I also have a photo if you want to take a look at that. My name is Sandy Stowe, and I want to first thank the Select Board. It's hard work being on a board, especially a volunteer board. Thank you very much. I've been a Falmouth resident for a number of years now, Falmouth Heights specifically, so I walk this area every day, and I see almost every day, at least every week, there's a lot of tearing down of older homes and rebuilding of very large homes. And this is what's happening in this case. The developers will take the house down and then clear the lot, basically, because the house is so big. And this house, as you might know, is, I think it's in contract for $4.5 million. And it's on about a 0.4 acre lot, double lot. And what I would say is that when you cut these trees down, they're at least 60 years old, because these homes were built in the 1960s. And that's as old as most of us in this room, so cutting them down, it takes a lifetime to regrow. So the replantings sound great, but they're small and they often die because they're not cared for, and they're never going to replace, at least in a lifetime, what we're cutting down. And we are losing a lot of trees in Falmouth Heights because of this new development. So what I would say is these 2 trees are not a hardship for the developer. This was a spec home that could have been built anyway, and this driveway, yes, you can see the garage is blocked by the trees, but there could be a way to get around that, and that should have been something that was considered, in my mind, before the plan was built. So I would ask that the vote be to preserve the valued shade trees that we have in Falmouth that make Falmouth nice. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment on this matter? Okay. Any other discussion?
I would like to support Mr. Pearson's recommendation, and I'd like to have you see if you can work this into your plan, please, and come back to us. Maybe you can send us a picture of how it would look if it was reconfigured, because he did recommend that the larger tree be saved, and so there's probably a way you can figure that driveway out, right?
Are you suggesting we come back in?
I'm suggesting that, yeah, if you could take a chance, I don't know if you need to come back, but if you can save that 1 tree, and if you want to come back, if you feel like you just can't figure it out and you need to come back, you could.
I think for him to come back would require continuing the hearing, correct?
Yes, it would.
So where's the board on this? Do we want to continue the hearing to see a revised plan, or are we ready to make a decision? Sorry, Ms. Klein.
I feel prepared to make a decision.
Okay, thank you.
I'd certainly welcome if the applicant can configure it in a way that's satisfactory to the board. I would support a continuance and give them the opportunity if they want to take it.
I would second that, because I don't think they really have a chance to really think about what it is. If we make a decision today that says only 1 tree, that's maybe put him in a tough spot. So if he can come in and show us on the site plan where it is and what the reconfiguration would look like to accommodate keeping the large old oak tree, then maybe that's a more fair way to go about it.
So I think if we do the continuation, we would want to a date certain. Would the final meeting of this month, June 29th,
That's great.
be appropriate? So
We're also meeting next week if you think you could figure it out quickly, but that's pretty fast.
I believe we'll need to notice the continuation of the hearing.
That's right, yeah, that would be too fast.
Right, so we would need until the 29th to be able to notice the hearing, so.
Right.
No, I don't think.
No.
We don't need to.
There's no specific
notice the
notification. Tonight, you're making the notification.
Okay, thank you. That was, sorry for the misunderstanding there.
So do you think you could come back on June 8th, or would you prefer June 29th?
We could come back on June 8th.
Okay. Okay.
So we have a motion and a second to continue the hearing until June 8th.
We need to
Right.
close the public hearing.
And
We're continuing it.
in hopes that you'll
right.
bring another site plan with the penciled-in trees and any configuration that might work for you.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor of the continuation, sorry.
Aye.
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 And motion to close public hearing?
I believe we're continuing the public hearing, not closing it. Am I correct on that?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, our next public hearing for the notice, Mr. Reed.
Notice is hereby given under Chapter 138 of the General Laws as amended that Holly Park Variety, Inc. has applied for a change of manager, change of officers / directors / LLC managers, issuance / transfer of stock / new stockholder and pledge of its collateral of its wine and malt beverages package store license located at 580A North Falmouth Highway, Falmouth, Massachusetts. Hearing on the above application will be held at the Falmouth Senior Center, 780 Main Street on Monday, June 1st, 2026 at 6:45 p.m. Comments may be sent to the Select Board at falmouthma.gov per the order of the Select Board, the Licensing Board of Robert P. Mascali, Heather M. H. Goldstone, Douglas C. Brown, Colin W. Reed, and formerly Jack P. Richardson, now Elizabeth, what's your middle initial? M. Klein. Publication date Friday, May 22nd, 2026, Falmouth Enterprise.
Thank you. Mr. Renshaw?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, Select Board, subsequent to the publication in the Enterprise of this public hearing tonight, the Select Board office was contacted by the applicant's counsel. The applicant was unfortunately tied up on another matter and it was not able to attend, so they are respectfully requesting, and I would recommend that the Select Board consider continuing this. We did confer with the applicant through their counsel, and June 8th would be a time that they would be available. So I'd recommend the Select Board consider continuing this hearing until June 8th.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. If it's all right, given what we just did, I'm going to take a business item out of order and jump to item H. Discuss and consider a vote to amend the 2026 Select Board meeting calendar by adding a new meeting date of June 8 and removing June 15 meeting dates. And given that we just scheduled 2 hearings for next Monday, let's make official that we're actually meeting next Monday.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to business. First item, the Select Board, as trustees of the Falmouth Affordable Housing Fund, discuss and consider a vote to approve an application for funding from Falmouth Housing Trust, Inc. to the Falmouth Affordable Housing Fund for the project located at 21 Pheasant Lane. Mr. Renshaw and then Ms. Fish.
I'm just going to, is Kim Fish, our housing coordinator, setting up, I believe the applicant is here as well, Mrs. Moynihan. Kim, did you want to introduce Ms. Moynihan?
Sure. If I may, just to go over just the next 2 agenda items so that I'm not bouncing back and forth and wasting time, your time. The next 2 agenda items are applications to the Falmouth Affordable Housing Fund for a construction of a single-family home at 21 Pheasant Lane and 20 Brigantine Lane. Both these properties were part of the RFP process. Laura Moynihan is here on behalf of Falmouth Housing Trust. She's the executive director, and I will hand the mic over to her and let her tell about this great project. Thank you. Thank you.
And on that note, and Ms. Moynihan, if you would like, would the board be okay with discussing both items together? We'll need 2 separate motions at the end, but
yes,
to consider both. Yeah. If that's helpful to you, Ms. Moynihan.
Yeah, 2 for 1 today.
Get through 2, both of them.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I love that. And members of the board. As Kim said, I'm Laura Moynihan, and I am the Executive Director of the Falmouth Housing Trust. The allocation of these items is 5 minutes. So the presentations were in your packet, but it'll take much longer than 5 minutes. So I'm happy to just give you a brief verbal overview of both homes and take questions, if that, okay.
That would be wonderful.
Help
Thank you.
with your schedule. So 21 Pheasant Lane is a property in Davisville. You saw this a few weeks ago on the local initiative program application that I presented. We're proposing to build a 3-bedroom home at this location. It's about an 11,000 square foot lot. It'll be a full 2-bath home. It requires a special comprehensive permit from the zoning board, which we will apply for. And we have requested funding of $175,000 for this one home. Property was awarded to the Housing Trust through the RFP process. So the request for the one home was by the town, and we responded to that request. And that would be an 80% AMI home, so it would be eligible for the subsidized housing inventory. We are proposing a sale price of $285,000 for the home, and hoping to be able to house a family there perhaps within a year or a year and a half. 20 Brigantine Drive is in Hatchville. It is a by right building lot. We are proposing a 2-bedroom home on that property. Again, that lot was part of the RFP process for the town requesting bidders. We bid and were awarded the project. It's a different type of lot because it has a large drainage area on it. So we're proposing a narrow 2-bedroom home that will fit within what we are looking at as the area that's suitable for development on the site. 1.5 baths. That would be a 140% AMI home, and that would be sold at about $360,000 we have in our budget. That home we are hoping, things go according to plan, to be starting construction in the next few months if we are able to secure the building permit in a timely manner. And that property, we are requesting, again, $175,000 in funding from the Falmouth Affordable Housing Fund. So those are the 2 projects. I'd be happy to answer any questions that the board may have.
So the Brigantine is as of right, is that correct?
That's correct,
Doesn't require any,
I hadn't looked at this.
Any variances?
I think that's right.
It does not. And the house that we're proposing meets all of the zoning code requirements, so it would be an application to the building department directly. There is an advanced treatment septic system proposed for both properties, so we would have to file an application with the Board of Health for approval of that, but that would be done during the building permit application process.
Excellent. Ms. Klein?
Thank you, Ms. Moynihan. I was happy to see both of these on the agenda tonight. I have a question about the 21 Pheasant Lane property, and I think this is a question for town staff. I know that you're doing an IA septic there. When I looked at this on the map, like where it falls in Falmouth, it looks like it's in a neighborhood that could ultimately become part of a sewering plan, right? It's on one of the fingers along the south shore of the town. And so my question is, if that homeowner who's going to be meeting an 80% AMI income bracket, are they going to be in the future, if that home becomes part of a sewering project, required to go through the expense of hooking up to the sewer if they've documented that they have an IA septic system installed?
They will.
About 20 years.
Maybe 12 or 15.
So we have not in the past had exemptions from connecting to the sewer within a sewer service area. I can't I don't have the sewer plan map in front of me, so I can't verify whether that is, in fact, in a planned sewer area. It may well be. And then there is the question of timing, which has not been determined.
But isn't there something in the discussion that homes that already have an IA system that are in an area that's going to be sewered, that they have a length of time before they would have to do that? I thought there was something.
There may be discussion, but nothing has been decided on that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I had one question, just in looking at the financing models for the two projects, where there is a lot of donor funds going to one project and a very small amount of donor funds going to the other project, and was just curious about that decision-making process and how that gets made.
Yeah, that's driven by the sale price revenue. So the lower the AMI, the less that we can sell the house for. So part of the project budget, the revenues coming in are dependent on the sale price. So with the Brigantine project, because it's a 140% AMI home, but home buyers that earn up to 140% AMI can pay more for a home. And so that home is priced at $360,000. And because there's more sale revenue going into the project budget, there's less other funding required. For Pheasant Lane, the town requested an 80% AMI home there, and because it was requested at 80% AMI, the sale revenue is significantly less, so there's more of an other revenue contribution required to meet the project development costs to zero out the budget. And as a nonprofit, we end up with a zero budget. So we really treat these properties together in concept from a philanthropy point of view. We do have a plan in place through our Kate Asen, who wasn't able to be here today, our development officer. And we have a number of foundations that we will be applying to, as well as our very generous public donors. So we are in concept grouping these two homes together, even though on paper one requires less than the other. But because of the timing, we're looking at them as really two homes being produced, within relatively the same year, hopefully.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I will say one thing to town management. In looking through this packet, and obviously this was an RFP process, and I absolutely want to support these projects. Just for a kind of accounting for our investment in affordable housing going forward when we do these, and I'm assuming we might do others of these, but when we do these kinds of disposals of properties, I would love to see the appraisals of those properties to understand what value we're bringing to the project in terms of the land that was part of that as well.
Yeah, I can tell you, Dr. Goldstone, that the Pheasant Lane property is not a buildable property under zoning, so it has a very low market value. The Brigantine lot, even though it is a by right building lot, has a very low value as well because of the limited development area. So there's a reason these parcels went into tax taking. Their market value is, if they had a significant market value, unlikely they'd be in tax taking.
Well, and we are committed to moving affordable housing forward, so I'm not at all disputing that it's a good investment.
Yeah, I just wanted to point that out for information purposes.
Do we have
if I may, I just want to compliment the Falmouth Housing Trust for stepping up. These are two very good projects. And I certainly hope that with respect to at least 21 Pheasant Lane, which does need a comprehensive permit from the Zoning Board of Appeals, that the Zoning Board take into consideration the full support of this Select Board with respect to this particular property when they are making their determination with respect to the comprehensive permit. So, if I may, I'll make a motion.
Please do.
With respect to 21 Pheasant Lane, motion to approve the application to the Falmouth Affordable Housing Fund from Falmouth Housing Trust, Inc. in the amount of $175,000, $25,000 for pre-development costs, and $150,000 for construction costs for the construction of one single-family home to be deed restricted at 80% of the area median income at 21 Pheasant Lane, and to authorize the town manager to execute documentation setting forth the terms of the financial award to the Falmouth Housing Trust.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
I'll second that motion.
Excellent. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much, and thank you.
We've got another motion to go.
Yeah, we're ready to go to 20 Brigantine. Motion to approve the application to the Falmouth Affordable Housing Fund from the Falmouth Housing Trust, Inc. in the amount of $175,000, $25,000 for the pre-development costs, and $150,000 for construction costs for the construction of one single-family home to be deed restricted at 140% of the area median income at 20 Brigantine Lane, and to authorize the town manager to execute documentation setting forth the terms of the financial award to the Falmouth Housing Trust.
Second. Motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just a discussion or question for Ms. Moynihan. Many times I've been this is separate but related. These are individual projects, which we applaud as a board. As a town, we're doing great on individual projects. This is a big policy question that is for our board to consider, but also from Falmouth. So related question, but a little bit different. I've been pointed many times to the Champlain Housing Trust up in Vermont as a model for expensive communities because it permanently removes the land from speculation as part of the formula. It's their way of retaining the middle-class workforce despite the housing rising prices. So I'm wondering, does the town of Falmouth have the land, and should the town gradually build a Cape-style or scale community land trust system? I know it takes a long time, but should we be aiming in that direction rather than relying on individual projects like these?
So your question is, should we be moving to a more of a regional type of land?
But a land trust system as opposed to individual housing trusts.
Ooh.
I was going to say, I believe that may be a bit beyond the scope of the motion, but let's take that up in future agenda items, perhaps.
Roger that.
And I mean,
you're off the hook.
Well, that's okay. I mean, I could answer it by saying that any opportunity to pursue avenues that can benefit the housing crisis, I would say absolutely pursue them and see what those options are. And also, I think that it is important to consider, Dr. Goldstone, when you mentioned the appraised value, you know, we often don't think about in the home ownership context that these properties are town-owned, but they're not earning anything. By building affordable housing, we are now creating a real estate tax revenue from these homeowners, which is a benefit to the town. And we often don't think about that. So when we talk about the value that the town is perhaps giving up, you know, that is one side of it, but the other side of it is what benefit now are we acquiring through real estate tax payments from the homeowners for land that is really not producing any revenue at all.
Point well taken. Thank you.
And I thank you very much for all your support, and of course for Kim and the working group who works really hard on all of these applications, and we appreciate that as well. Thank
Let's
you.
make this official. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay. Moving on to item C, discuss and consider the adoption of an environmentally preferable products purchasing policy, that's a lot of Ps, as required by the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. Mr. Renshaw.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There's a bit of background. Back in 1997, the late 90s, the Select Board adopted a written policy for the procurement of recycled products. Per this policy, and a copy of that 97 policy is included in your packets this evening. Per that policy, the town is committing to purchasing products which are made of recycled materials. Recently, the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection has required that every city and town adopt updated environmentally preferable products, EPP, purchasing policies by June 1st of this year. to stay eligible for 2026 Sustainable Materials Recovery Program, or SMRP grants. And you know that grant is significant to the town of Falmouth. We did get an extension. I want to let the select board know. We initially thought that that deadline was the end of June. We learned recently it was the 1st of June, so we did apply for and receive an extension. With that, Madam Chair and Select Board, a copy of the policy. I want to thank the Solid Waste Advisory Committee, staff, Mary Ryther in particular, Peter McConerty, for the work on the draft that is included in your packet, and it would be my recommendation that the Select Board consider adopting the Town of Falmouth Environmentally Preferred Procurement Policy as presented in your packets.
Yes,
And if we didn't, the consequences would be we'd lose grants. But I mean, how much are we talking about overall? Do we have a bit of an idea?
I've asked our DPW Director, Peter McConerty, to be here to answer those kind of questions. I think it is a significant amount, but Peter, do you have that number?
Yeah, Peter McConerty, Director of Public Works. We've been participating in the Mass DEP RDP grants for 15, 18 years now. We usually get about $50,000 a year. So it is a considerable amount when you start looking at some of the programs that the Solid Waste Advisory Committee's putting together, and also Mary Ryther's putting together is for recycling programs. So in our recommendation, we would prefer to have that approved, to move through with that. That does help with our recycling and the programs that we put on. And like as the town manager had said, the Mass DEP required that as of this year, all cities and towns that are looking to get RDP grants are required to change into this environmentally preferred procurement policy. And basically what they had is they had a template online that we took and we modified it a little bit to be for Falmouth. But we used the Mass DEP template that they had.
Thank you. Mr. Miscali, can I ask, is there a reason why you would oppose adopting an environmentally preferred products policy?
No, absolutely not. I'm just curious what the consequence would be if we didn't. Certainly support it.
Excellent. Are there any other questions, any other discussion?
The planet would be doomed.
I'll make the motion to adopt the Environmentally Preferred Products EPP purchasing policy as required by the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection as presented.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Item D, discuss and consider the adoption of the Watershed Management Financial Fairness Task Force charging document. Mr. Renshaw.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last November, the Board of Health submitted a letter to the Select Board outlining the Board of Health's concerns over how the implementation of the Commonwealth's mandated watershed management plan is going to financially impact residents in different ways, depending upon whether they would be required to connect their homes to the town wastewater system, will be required to install IA, innovative alternative septic systems, or to take no immediate action. And Madam Chair and Select Board, a copy of that November 10th, 2025 letter from the Board of Health is included in your packet as a reference. IA septic systems, as you all know, are advanced wastewater treatment units that are designed to remove excess nutrients, primarily nitrogen, that conventional Title V systems cannot handle. In its November 2025 letter to the Select Board, the Board of Health indicated that it was engaging with the public over regulation development and implementation focused on the nitrogen management problem, and that during the course of these conversations with the community members, the primary concern that they kept hearing over and over again was the cost to homeowners for the installation and maintenance of these IA systems. As the Select Board recalls, on February 9th of this year, the Select Board held a joint meeting with the Board of Health, during which one of the points of discussion was the equitable cost distribution of watershed management planning. During that discussion, the Select Board directed my office to initiate a process for the creation of a Select Board appointed committee or task force that would be responsible for advising the Select Board and Town Manager on the identification of fair and equitable cost distributions among property owners related to the implementation of the Commonwealth mandated watershed management plans, and to recommend goals, action steps, and measurable milestones that could be integrated into the Select Board's strategic plan. I went back and listened to that February 9th discussion and used those notes as a template, so to speak, in preparing the draft, which is attached to your packet this evening. Once the charge is approved, the next step would be for the posting and advertisement for the task force vacancies and for scheduling of interviews before the select board if necessary. And Madam Chair, select board, Madam Chair had actually presented to my office a copy of some suggested revisions. I distributed copies of those suggested revisions to each of you tonight, so they should be at your chairs. And I've reviewed those revisions, and I agree. They add value to the charging document. And I'd recommend consideration of adopting that revised charging document.
Thank you, Mr. Renshaw. Might just speak briefly to the revisions that I proposed that you all have in front of you. Briefly, I guess my sense is this is a task force that's going to be advising the select board. I don't feel that it needs to have a member of the select board on that. I do hope that we'll be in very close communication with this task force. So having a member of the board didn't feel necessary, but instead making sure that there's a member on this board. And I'm aware that I don't know who this person would be in our community, but we have seen time and again that when we ask for expertise, our community is often able to deliver in surprising ways. And I think having someone on this committee with some expertise in economics and ethics and kind of thinking about large infrastructure projects and how those costs are borne is something that this task force would really benefit from. Obviously, they can also tap into experts as they see fit. Want to make sure that these are folks who are thinking creatively. We're trying to look for potentially creative and innovative ways to make what we need to get done more affordable. And then finally, in this charge, we've had a couple of experiences over the past couple of years of committees or task forces with the best of intentions running with their charge and coming back several months later and discovering that the select board and that committee are not exactly aligned on the direction they were heading. And so this is an effort to say, okay, this last part, the task force shall present a work plan and expected outputs for approval by the select board within 3 months of first convening, is an effort to have that board get together, say, all right, what do we think we're doing here? What are we expecting to produce by 1 year from now? What should the select board be thinking? How are we thinking about approaching this? And come back to the board with that plan to ensure that we're all aligned on where this task force is headed. So, are there questions or comments? Yes, Mr. Miscali.
Yeah, I guess, there are and have been other task forces, whatever we call them, where there have been members of the select board appointed. And I'm just wondering if there should be a member of the select board, either as a member of it or maybe a direction that there be a liaison, so that individual can report periodically in advance of of getting something from the actual committee. So I'd either suggest that we include a member of the select board on this task force, or at the very least have something in there with respect to a liaison from the select board to the task force.
And if I could, I think the primary goal of this task force is to determine the equitability of town funding of a portion of these projects that are on private property. That's really the biggest challenge. So,
Which again, I think is going to require a lot of creativity, right?
It sure is. It's going to be more of a social science than a science of technology, because
right.
The cost of it is going to be one factor, but the equitability of the shared pain amongst the town is going to be really the crux of it. So we're just going to need thoughtful people who are willing to look at the big picture of the financial aspect of it, not so much the nitty-gritty and the nuts and bolts of the actual technology.
100% agree. Ms. Klein.
Thank you, Dr. Goldstone. I was happy to see that among your amendments, you included a reference to urine diversion as an alternative, as I've been approached by people in the community in the weeks since the election who are interested in having that option remain viable for them. And so I think it's great because we know that is something that people are continuing to pursue. It is not without its challenges, but if folks are interested in that option, I'm glad that that's been included. So something it's much lower cost that can remain available to them.
Mr. Reed?
I would agree with Mr. Miscali about the liaison. It doesn't have to be an official member that is appointed, but somebody that is a liaison too, just to help get to that work plan that you've outlined down at the bottom. I think your additions here have been spot on. I think Mr. Brown pointed to the last bullet in there with this is a social science and economics question more than technology. So with that, I would like to make the motion to approve and adopt the Watershed Management Financial Fairness Task Force charging document with the inclusion of a select board liaison as presented with the corrections.
So the amended version
The amended
with a liaison.
version with a liaison.
Oh,
Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Nope.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you for your work on that, both, and the ideas.
Okay, moving on. Consider and a vote to approve an application by MVC Hospitality, Inc., DBA Inn on the Square for a lodging house license to be executed at 40 North Main Street, Falmouth. Mr. Renshaw.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Really quickly, complete application was received by the Select Board office on May 16th of this year. The certificate of inspection is still pending in the building department, and hotel, motel, and the swimming pool permits are pending in the health department. Closing on the property, according to the applicant, is scheduled for May 29th, or was scheduled for May 29th. Special permit number 19-12 is included in the packet this evening. There are 6 earlier permits associated with this property available upon request, and reviews of the application were received from fire rescue and health departments with no concerns or issues being expressed by either of those departments.
Excellent. And certainly you have.
We have since received all of the approvals, and I brought an extra copy reminder with everything in it tonight. Just
okay. Thank you.
They should have all been also submitted electronically by my office.
Thank you, sir. And Madam Chair and Select Board, as you all know, typically if there's anything outstanding before the license is issued, our office holds that license. But the applicant is stating that those requirements have been met. So.
Everything is.
Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is Michael Rosen. I represent the Mount Vernon Company. Mount Vernon Company is in the process of acquiring the Inn on the Square. This will be the 8th hotel in their hospitality chain. The Mount Vernon Company is also a much larger commercial real estate organization. The Inn on the Square will be operated by a company called Olympia Hospitality, which currently operates 41 hotels throughout the country, roughly half of which are boutique in unique, like the Inn on the Square. We've submitted all of the applications. We've done updated floor plans for the hotel because the ones that the town had were 20 plus years old. We were asked to redo those floor plans. They've been submitted. They're in the packages. The building inspector has reviewed them and signed off on them. I think we have everything submitted that this board would need to consider our application. I have with me this evening the COO, CFO of the Mount Vernon Company, Mohsen Vasali. If you did have any questions, we could answer them for you.
Thank you. Oh, I have one quick question for town council on the difference between an inn holder and a lodging house license, given that this property also has a restaurant involved.
So I would have to pull up the definitions. They're statutorily defined. Was there something in particular that you're looking for?
I had never looked closely at them and went looking in a lodging house. Appears to be a lodging house and an inn holder. So perhaps the applicant can clarify.
We knew the exact same licenses that were already in place. I would point out to this board that we do not operate the restaurant, nor do we hold a liquor license or anything else with regard to food service. It is a leased tenant, and it is a breakfast and lunch.
Okay, that might explain it, that it's a different body holding the common victualler and other licenses. Thank you. Are there questions or comments from the board? Yes, Mr. Miscali.
My experience has been that the Inn on the Square has always been a very accommodating and affordable option for people who are coming to the town of Falmouth for tourism. Are there any plans? I don't need a commitment, but I'm just wondering if you would envision there being a big increase in the rates as a result of the transfer of ownership and a new operator in there and fixing things up?
As with any hotel, I think they would take it one step at a time. They'll go in, they'll look at things that can or should be improved. They'll look at what they need to spend in order to make those improvements. And then with any good property owner, to the extent that they're borrowing funds and incurring debt and spending money, there probably would be incremental increases that would cover those costs and expenses. There are, as of present, there are no plans to make major renovations to the property.
When you say a boutique, I mean, I don't envision it or consider it at this point to be a boutique hotel. Is that going to change?
It's an independent. So, for instance, the other hotels in the portfolio, the Revolution Hotel in Boston, which is not under a moniker, 19 Broad Street in Nantucket, the Swain House, 21 Broad Street in Nantucket, 76 Main Street in Nantucket, the Bow, which is a single hotel in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, recently acquired the John Carver Inn and Spa in Plymouth, Mass., and also recently acquired the North Conway Grand. So these are kind of boutique, not identified with a chain. They're not under, it's not a Hilton or a Ramada or a Sheraton. These are single standalone. And if you want, I can give you the hotels that we do.
That's okay. I mean, if you want to submit it, that's fine, but you mentioned them, so, you know.
The only one that's not in here is the North Conway Grand, because that was acquired on May 19th.
Okay. I have no more questions. Thank you.
Mr. Reed?
More of a statement than a question. The scientific community, which is our largest employer outside of steamship and the hospital, relies on hotels like the Inn on the Square, and they have worked on beneficial rates for the community, because we often have to hire people that are coming from long distances. So it is my hope in this statement that the hotel will continue to honor those types of rates that are currently established.
Understood. Thank you.
Thanks.
Ms. Glenn?
Curious if you may not be this far along in the process, but are there any plans to retain the current staff, in particular the management staff, who may provide really good expertise and knowledge of the area?
So the majority of employees will be retained. We do bring in our Olympia Hospitality, which is the management company, but the individual employees, the staff, would be retained. We've already renewed the lease for the summer employees to come, so we provide quarters for summer employees, and we've done those types of things so that we expect a continuity in the employees who are there.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I will follow in the same vein, and given what you've said about the fact that the restaurant is an independent lessee, to your knowledge, is there any change in that arrangement and who will be operating that?
There's a lease with the restaurant operator. I believe it has several years left. I do think in the future that will be something we look at. I think we would like to see dinner served there. I think that would be a nice amenity for the hotel. But there is no present change. Again, we didn't take over the common vic license. We didn't take over the alcohol license. And there's a lease, I think it runs through 2028 or 2029, that was just amended and assigned.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it was just assigned.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or concerns from the board? Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve an application by MVC Hospitality, Inc., DBA Inn on the Square, for a lodging house license to be executed at 40 North Main Street, Falmouth.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Best
Thank
of
you,
luck to
Madam Chair and members of the board.
Okay, discuss and consider a vote to approve the application for a change of manager by Bad Martha's Farmers Brewery, LLC, at 876 East Falmouth Highway, East Falmouth. Mr. Renshaw.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The original application was filed November 3rd of last year. Select Board approved this application on December 1st of 2025. and as is the practice, forwarded the application to the ABCC on December 4th. On April 13th, an Alcoholic Beverages Control Commission investigator sent the Select Board office notification that the application was being returned no action and requested assistance from the Select Board's office, having been unable to reach either the proposed manager or the Bad Martha's Edgerton manager, Miss Mia Benedito, who I understand signed the application erroneously. The form, as I've been told, the form should have been signed by the LLC manager. The Select Board office mailed the LLC manager, Mr. Jonathan Blum, the proposed manager, and Edgerton Bad Martha's manager, advising them of the outstanding requirements of the ABCC and the inability of the ABCC to contact these managers. On April 29th, the ABCC advised that all change of manager applications that are returned due to inconsistencies between the application and the officers of the entity with a beneficial interest in the license require that a new change of manager application and an application of change of officers, directors, LLC manager. On May 4th of this year, with required applications received from Bad Martha's and notice of violation, with no required, applications having been received, the Select Board office mailed the notice of violation sent to the LLC manager and to the brewery by U.S. mail and email. On May 8th, the Select Board office was advised that attorney Mr. John P. Connell would be assisting Bad Martha's Farmers Brewery LLC in completion of the required applications. Madam Chair, Select Board applications were received on May 14th and completed with some minor adjustments on the 19th of May. Town departments have reviewed the application and no concerns or issues have been expressed by any of the departments.
Rules and regulations related to the sale and service of alcohol of this board, the ABCC, and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. He has experience in the industry. He has been a manager at Bad Martha since 2019, and before that he was food and beverage operator at the Buttonwoods Park Zoo. Yes, sir. And he's also tip certified. We thank the board for so swiftly reconsidering this after refiling, and we're happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
I'm sure you're aware that while Bad Martha's is a beloved establishment for many in the community, its licenses and its operation has not been without complaints and problems over the past couple of years. And so this turn of events is a bit worrisome, and I expect the board may have some questions about accountability moving forward, but I will turn this over to see if there are, in fact, other questions or comments from other board members.
I have one. Who's actually been the manager recently during this interim period?
There was, the previous manager of record, I believe, was a man named Joshua Flanders, and he left sometime this fall, I'm told, and Ralph has been acting manager, who was the named manager of record in that November application, is my understanding. So he's been manager of record. He's been the point person. So this is just to make it official and be in compliance with.
Okay, thank you.
Just maybe a question of Mr. Renshaw. Have there been any recent complaints from any of the neighbors that you're aware of?
No, Madam Chair, and Select Board Member Scally, there's been no recent complaints. Last year, I believe there was one noise complaint. I had an opportunity in 2024 to work with Mr. Younger on that year. We had a couple of complaints with regards to noise, and I can state that they made some improvements on the interior and some exterior improvements that I think mitigated some of those issues.
Thank you.
I guess I'm a little surprised to know that this is not a recent change, that you've been acting as manager since November through this period where there was a lack of responsiveness. And so can I just ask what might account for the issues that Mr. Renshaw laid out with lack of responsiveness from management and how those are being addressed going forward?
I may have misheard, but it sounds like the ABCC was trying to contact a woman named Mia Benedetto, who is the manager or involved more with the Edgartown property, which I believe is, if you had to pick a flagship between the Edgartown location and Falmouth, I think it would be, that was the first one, the Edgartown one. Obviously, didn't have the responsiveness that the ABCC wanted to see. Obviously, the town of Falmouth, but she's not involved with the Falmouth store or location, is my understanding, and I don't know why her name was on those applications, and obviously it was a mistake because, you know, I'm not inside the previously submitted applications though, but that's my understanding, and it's why we're looking to fix it and, you know, put Ralph on the license.
That was exactly the issue that ABCC stated and sent the select board office that notice. They were trying to reach out to Mia, and she had erroneously, as I indicated, filled out that the original application, and they started this process.
That's what happens when you don't use a lawyer. No, I'm just kidding.
Thank you to everyone
Good
who
point.
helped figure that out. Are there other concerns, or do we have a motion?
Could we just hear from your manager? I'm just curious as to how many hours a day do you think you'll be on site, and how you see the operation going forward?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Ralph Young. I'm the manager at Bad Martha. I've been there since 2019, and it's been my life. It's hospitality, so I'm there a lot. So I'm there about 60, 70 hours a week, especially during season. Yeah, I think it was just a little breakdown in the communication of our new Mia over, and everyone kind of changed positions, and things got lost with Josh's email, stuff like that. So that was the reason why there was a little bit of a delay in that situation. But I've been there since 2019, worked with the town through all the mitigation, all the complaints and stuff, and really tried to be, you know, the liaison between our neighbors and trying to figure out stuff. So I want to continue that.
That's a pretty good background. Thank you.
Appreciate that. Yes. Ms. Klein?
Yeah, I'm glad to hear from Mr. Renshaw that there have been fewer complaints in the recent time. I'm a big supporter of having, you know, fun things to do here in Falmouth for folks of a variety of ages, and I think that Bad Martha offers that. I've been there with my kid, and he played, you know, some of the lawn games. It's a really nice place to go. And what I would just wonder is if you have a plan in place this summer. You know, the season's really ramping up. If you have issues with neighbors, do you have a plan in place for how you would manage that?
Yeah, so we do decibel readings every single day when we have live music. We have a new sound mitigation panel getting put up that's getting created by Sperry Tent. So that's what we started last year. We did like a makeshift one, but now we're having a professional one put in. And we really, you know, go across the street, try to engage with the neighbors, listen to, you know, turn down the volumes if there's any requests like that. So we've been doing what we can do.
And not to interrupt, but I believe, and I'll speak into the microphone, last time, my office hasn't been involved since I believe we got the farmer winery license, which is about 2023. But last time, the manager's contact information was shared to anybody that, any neighbors that requested it, and I'm sure that Ralph would be willing to do that again going forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've heard enough. I think I'm ready.
You ready to make a motion?
Oh, boy, I don't have it up in front of me.
Motion to approve the application for a change of manager by Bad Martha's Farmers Brewery, LLC at 876 East Falmouth Highway, East Falmouth.
So moved. Thank you.
Second? Second? Excellent. With motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good luck this season.
Best of luck to you.
Yep.
Okay. Discuss and consider a vote to accept the requested change to the local initiative program application submitted by Northland Residential Corporation for the housing project located at 809 Sandwich Road. Mr. Renshaw.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm going to turn this one right over to Assistant Town Manager Johnson Staub. He worked extensively with the Northland Residential Corporation. So, Peter, can you walk us through?
Thank you, Mr. Renshaw. I know the board is well familiar with this project, but very briefly for the public's benefit, this is a property that the town has been working with the developer on for a couple of years, going back to December of 2024. This board did approve a local initiative program permit for this project At that time, it was proposed as 36 units of rental housing, of which 13 were deed-restricted affordable. So notably, that was 4 units in excess of what the 40B statute requires. We were enthusiastic about endorsing that, that proposal. There was a later attempt by the applicant to have a project change and change it from 36 rental units to a home ownership project with only 9 units affordable. And the board did not endorse that, that requested change to the project on May 4th. The project is back again. The developer has proposed a compromise. He's now back to rental housing, same number of total units, 36, with a total of 11 affordable units, so 2 deed-restricted affordable units beyond what 40B requires. The working group, the Affordable Housing Working Group, reviewed the proposal, and we, as a member of that, I'm saying we recommended the board's support for this amended application. And again, I know the board is aware of this, but for the public's benefit, so this is an example of housing that is not age-restricted. Rental housing is a top priority for the board in connection with workforce housing. So this is, this fits well with the town's housing needs.
Thank you. And I believe we have someone for the applicant here as well? No?
No.
Okay.
Well, we have Mr. Freeman's letter outlining that it's not, it's insubstantial change. I just want to say, in furtherance of what Mr. Johnson-Staub was saying, as a member of the working group, I appreciate the flexibility and the consideration that Northland Residential Corporation has put into this project. It is a worthwhile project. They're giving us 2 more AMI restricted units than we would otherwise get. And as I said before, with respect to 21 Pheasant Lane, hopefully the zoning board of appeals will take into consideration what I believe is our support for this project going forward as quickly as possible.
Well, let me turn this to the board and see. Yes, Ms. Klein.
Yeah, I wish that there was someone from the applicant here, because I have kind of 2 questions that I would like to pose to them. One would be that I know from some reporting and the community that there's been some tensions between the abutters and the developer, and that I was curious to hear how those relations had been going, if the developer had engaged in some proactive outreach or not, because I think it sounded as if abutters had some real serious concerns that were being dismissed. That would be one question I'd like to pose. Another question that I would like to pose is if the developer would be willing to make some of those units actually go down in AMI and make use of some of the project-based vouchers that we have in Falmouth. We have project-based vouchers that provide funding from Section 8, and those are tied to a unit instead of tied to a person. And that's something that I've seen come up in some recent things that have come across the Affordable Housing Committee's desk. And that's a creative way to incorporate some much lower income residents of Falmouth without cutting into the bottom line of the developer. Because those vouchers, for example, you can have individuals in the 30 to 50% AMI range who are competitive as a tenant. So I'm not sure if any of that has been part of the conversation.
Mr. Johnson-Staub, we don't have anyone from the applicant here, but you've been part of those conversations. Is there any?
Well, Mr. Dolly can choose to speak or not speak to those questions. I just wanted to, with respect to your second question about deeply affordable units in the 30 to 60% of AMI, interesting question, which we could certainly dialogue with the developer about. On the first question, we generally, with local initiative program approvals, we We don't get into abutter issues because those will be addressed by the ZBA. So just as a matter of sort of, rather than address abutters issues twice with two different bodies, we defer to the ZBA on those issues.
Thank you.
I would speak in favor of approval because I think it's still a good project and it's more in line with what our original plan was. You know, as time goes on, costs incur, so it's not surprising that at this point there would be a request such like this, so I would say it's okay.
I certainly appreciate that the board's concerns were heard, and that we're at a rental model and still in excess of the minimum number of units, and it is those highest AMI units that were sacrificed in this version. Ms. Klein, did you have another?
Just one more important note is that by shifting back to a rental model, Mr. Johnson-Staub, I'm correct in that all of the units then count towards the SHI list as opposed to just those that are technically affordable.
That is correct, and I should just add as well that if we can certainly ask the developer if he would be interested in adjusting the affordability targets, and that could be addressed as an amendment down the road, but I know they're eager to move forward with the permitting process at this point.
Okay. Okay, do we have a motion on this matter?
I'm happy to make a motion to accept the requested change to the local initiative program application submitted by Northland Residential Corporation for the housing project located at 809 Sandwich Road.
I'd second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and last thing on our business agenda is to discuss and consider a vote to adopt an artificial intelligence policy. Mr. Renshaw.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I missed the April 13th meeting. I was out of town when this was last discussed. Peter led that discussion, and the Assistant Town Manager Johnson-Staub has been doing a great amount of research on the topic. I'm going to turn it over to Peter to kind of walk you through the draft, which is included in your packet. Peter?
Thank you, Mr. Renshaw. Following up on the board's prior discussion of an AI policy, what I took away from that meeting was there was a consensus that the board wanted to adopt a policy and relatively quickly and not necessarily overly complicated. There are some models that other municipalities have adopted, and this is a very quickly evolving field, and there certainly may be a need for amending this policy as the situation evolves. But what we have presented tonight is a pretty simple model based on the Town of Rockland policy that you saw previously. It has been reviewed with Town Council Maura O'Keefe, and some slight reorganization and buffing up, I guess I'd say, of the policy. And I guess in terms of we went over this, I think the first time that you discussed it, but the general idea here is there are some really important guardrails that we want to establish before staff really start using an AI policy. And on the flip side, we really do want to encourage staff to start using AI because there are some opportunities to provide better work product and provide more quickly to be more productive with our time and to use it as a force multiplier. So there are a lot of details to be concerned about. We would plan to roll this out with some training, some basic training for staff with respect to those guardrails and concerns. The basic tenet is every employee has to be responsible for their work product. That's true 10 years ago, that's true today. It was true before AI, it's true after AI. So it's a tool, but you can't just blindly use it and say it's done, AI did it, I didn't do it. No, whoever uses the AI solution to produce a product, that staff member or team is going to continue to be responsible for that.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson-Staub. I will say that I remain, I think, somewhat out of line with the consensus of the rest of the board as I was at the initial discussion, that I would prefer, rather than an AI policy, to simply see a data privacy policy. I fully concur with the intent that we need to ensure that we are protecting sensitive data. I will say, though, my concern with phrasing it as an AI policy and the way that this is phrased is that I would be surprised if our current HR and finance packages do not actually include AI-based functions where we have sensitive data. And so would prefer to simply see it say that all of this prohibited data cannot be entered into any software or online tool that has not been approved by IT, to kind of take that, is it AI or not, out of it. But I also recognize that I was, as I said, not in line with the consensus of the remainder of the board on this issue when we discussed it the first time. So I'll open the floor for discussion. Mr. Miskelly?
Well, I was one of the people who wanted to get a policy up and running, and I appreciate the work that's been done on it, but, depending upon how the board decides to proceed, I think that this is really something that is going to have to be looked at, very closely going forward. It's, as Mr. Johnson-Staub said, it's evolving, daily, but I think it's incumbent upon the town to have a policy to limit our potential liability with respect to generative AI. So it's not perfect, but it's something, and I think we should proceed and with the understanding that it's going to be looked at, going forward.
Mr. Brown?
I just would think, I think that may be a good suggestion that you made, and maybe there should be a paragraph added to relate to that. I mean, this is probably going to be an evolving policy.
I'm just trying to think how that would, I think that's a little bit, it's potentially broader than AI, but we could consider whether the two could play together, I guess. Yeah, Mr. Miskelly.
I do have one question, though. Under oversight and review, it says all output generated by AI must be reviewed by a town employee before release. And how's that going to actually work? Is someone else is going to review what someone else is considering putting out?
So the concept there is, again, that whichever employee is using the AI solution and then putting that AI solution out there, whether it's to an individual resident or in a public document, that employee who's using the AI is responsible for the content. So it's not multiple employees, it's an employee.
It's the employee
puts a
who's
prompt,
actually doing it
yes,
is going to be satisfactory. I mean, that's going to satisfy that requirement.
Correct.
Basically.
Correct. Because the employee is putting in a prompt, right? And then there's an output from the prompt. The employee can't just run with the prompt, run with the output without proofing it.
You got to read it and make sure it makes sense.
Right.
I will say there's also a growing trend, particularly in more creative fields, to also, well, actually in the sciences as well, to disclose or essentially acknowledge when generative AI tools have been used. So perhaps it could be, I guess, under oversight and review, but one possibility would be to add a point that use of generative AI tools must be acknowledged or disclosed. So, if a document goes out that an employee has used generative AI to help write, there would be a line at the bottom, note this document was generated with ChatGPT used as, an editor for the piece or whatever it is, right? So that there would be some acknowledgement of that.
Just to make a real life comparison, in the legal profession, it is getting to a point where it may be considered legal malpractice not to use AI going forward. So, certainly it's here. We've got to deal with it. It's very important that we take a look at this. So,
Ms. Klein?
It's funny, Dr. Goldstone, that you mentioned disclosure, because I felt that that was something that should be included. As I'm consuming and reading things, I do appreciate when I'm made informed that that content was created with the assistance of generative AI tools. And so I agree that some sort of disclosure would be important, because we have to recognize that there are some members of the public who are incredibly skeptical and very, very concerned about artificial intelligence and its adoption into mainstream society. And I think in recognition of those individuals who are concerned about that, and in the sake of transparency, that a disclosure would be something that would not take a lot of time, and could help make the public feel that they understood better where did this information come from, and who put it together for my consumption. So I thought that was a note. I also appreciated, what was the other policy? What town? Brookline. I appreciated they had this chart, the role and then the responsibility, and I thought that was a nice clarification of whose job is what, because I think sometimes you can get to a point where it's no one's real fault because it was kind of like the AI, or was it me? And so I think something just for clarity, I think that would be good to consider. And then my last point that I wanted to make is, as a community that's very, very concerned about climate change, I would be remiss not to mention that we do know, even though we sometimes keep this knowledge kind of in separate parts of our brain, right, that using artificial intelligence is consuming vast amounts of resources. And so I would really encourage us to consider thoughtful applications. I tell my students, you used generative AI to make a video of a cat, climbing on a rainbow, and you put some carbon dioxide into the air, right? And so to think about what uses of it are worth that resource consumption, and it's very, very hard to keep that in mind because those resources are not being consumed in a way that we can see, right? This information is being generated over there elsewhere. And so not that I think that adoption of generative AI can help efficiency and workflows in town hall, and I just want us to be cautious and really be careful about how we're using it.
Yep. Thank you. Mr. Reed?
Thanks. I agree conceptually with what you're saying, Dr. Goldstone, regarding prohibited data and having that be more HR policy than not, although I like where we're heading in this. My question is for Mr. Johnson-Staub. The prohibited uses, generative AI may not be used for the following purposes: entering prohibited data into an AI query, which I agree with, seeking legal or medical advice, or personal use. I didn't see that in either of the others. And I'm wondering if this is related to unconstrained tools or constrained tools that the town has a contractual relationship with the software vendor. And any examples that you might have where a town employee would be using a constrained software for medical or advice or I'm looking for a reason for this. It seems a little out of left field, beyond the entering prohibited data into AI query.
I'm going to refer this one to town council who generated those.
Okay, roger that. Thank you.
So the legal advice actually was in the original was in the original policy that we looked at from the town of Rockland. I just moved it.
Okay.
It was in prohibited data that you couldn't input legal advice. And I moved it from prohibited data to a prohibited use. And then added medical advice, because asking AI for legal and medical advice, to me, they just make sense that they're in the same bucket. We really don't want any of our employees using AI to circumvent professional advice like that. I think that has applicability. The medical advice, for example, has applicability for some of the summer camps or the recreation programs. I think it is important to call 911 instead of asking AI if it's okay if this bone is popping out. And also, I've had people come to me already and say, I just wanted to check with you, but I looked this up on AI, and is this legal advice right? And I would like for that to not happen as much as it already has happened. So I hope that, and then personal use, it really does overlap with our existing technology use policy, but it does bear repeating that you shouldn't be using ChatGPT during working hours for your own personal use.
Gotcha. Thank you for that clarification, because that was the next one, which is are we just delineating work hours from personal hours? So thank you.
So I think, well, I guess I should ask the board this idea of disclosure that Ms. Klein proposed. Is that something that we would be interested in including? I personally think that would be a good addition to the policy.
Madam Chair, if I could just comment on that briefly. This is, that's something that I had heard and was sort of looking for in some of the other sample policies. At a management conference that I was at last week, there was a workshop on AI, and I was interested to hear that the presenter said that the private sector was moving away from disclosing use of AI because it was becoming so ubiquitous. I'm not suggesting that's the final answer. It may not be the right answer for public sector, but I just wanted to throw that out.
Thank you. Mr. Brown and then Ms. Klein.
I wonder if it'll actually just make people more skeptical about the work product.
That might be the point.
Yeah, that's true.
But Ms. Klein.
I would simply argue that the private sector and town governance have different transparency responsibilities to the public.
Okay.
Yeah. What I'm going to suggest, not to belabor this point, and I take the point that it's important that we have something on record shortly, but we've provided a lot of feedback here. And what I'd like to propose is that we have another draft of this that will show up on the next consent agenda, not for further discussion, assuming that everything looks like looks reflective of our discussion here tonight, which I think is a consensus, well, let's see, is it consensus on disclosure and perhaps a broadening with prohibited data to include must not be entered into any AI prompt, online tool or software system not approved without approval from IT. From information systems.
Can we get a little bit more feedback from staff managers about the disclosure statement?
Sure.
Any reason to push back against that?
So I don't have a strong view of it. I guess the use that maybe has some trade-offs. We have a lot of engagement with the public. A lot of it is in writing, and one of the things that that I'm hearing other managers use AI for is simply crafting a better email message. Because you can, once you get comfortable with it, you can put in the prompts of, all of the concerns, all of the, the tone that you're looking for, and the points that you want to hit, and the perspective of, the prompt can be as specific as, write this as a Massachusetts municipal manager, responding to this matter, respectfully, firmly, or whatever, So, you could put on the end of that, bottom of that email message, maybe it becomes part of a standard signature that some email messages are crafted with the assistance of AI. Does that cause people to look at it differently? Maybe it does. Is that good, bad? I'm not sure.
I will say that exact example is one of the reasons that I lean away from having an AI policy, because it is so difficult to even define. Do you need to have that there if you simply used an autofill feature, which is AI, right? AI-based features are so pervasive at this point that it's almost impossible to know when you are using something that is AI powered unless you literally have opened up, ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or take your pick and entered something in there, and that's far from the full extent of AI. But perhaps as a compromise, it could be something like policies and documents need to disclose the use of AI, but we'll say that people's texting and emailing is their own. Would that work for folks? I'm seeing one nod. Or is this something we want to consider further? Like I said, don't want to belabor it.
Although I...
Go ahead. No, you please.
No, although I think, as I said, I think we've got to get something on the policy, but I agree. I think maybe we should, let staff take a further look at maybe some language with respect to disclosure, or members, if they have any suggestions, can maybe email them to Mr. Johnson-Staub, and he can consider them, and we can discuss it at our next meeting or in a future meeting.
I think that Peter's suggestion that maybe it's just part of the signature of all town emails, and say that Town of Falmouth uses generative AI in assistance of production of documents, and just make it that it may be used, and it's not always used in everything. Just give it that disclaimer without saying this document was produced by AI, just a general signature. That's enough of a disclosure, I think. But
Mr. Reed?
Does that sound legit?
Yeah, it's a blanket statement that often we see with sensitive data that's at the end of emails. But I'm leaning now more towards Dr. Goldstone, because kind of humorously, I wish we could go back to the 90s when the internet was starting to be used, and internet policies where they were then versus where they are in today's world. They're completely different.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if we're, recreating the same wheel. I know we want to add in some protections for the town. I know that we want to get in some uses, but it's in our newspapers online. Everything's AI, everything's a thing. So anyways, I appreciate where we got, and I think, going to the next level is a good step.
Okay. Ms. Klein, did you have another?
Just to recognize that I'm one of 5, so I also realize that.
I think we've got folks in different places on this, which I think is very representative of the town of Falmouth and the country and the world at this point with AI. And Mr. Reed, to your point, one cautionary tale in town government that is often the butt of jokes in the biosciences is that the city of Cambridge at one point inadvertently almost banned sex by trying to ban, I can't remember now if it was a form of genetic engineering that was of particular concern, that was really relevant to bacteria being researched in the biotech companies in Cambridge. And someone came to their, I think it's town council, and pointed out that if they actually passed that, they would have banned. So, so sometimes there are unintended consequences, and I think we want to be wary of that. But I think certainly with the idea that we'll be coming back to this, so we'll get another draft on the agenda for the next meeting, and plan for that to be on consent. And if folks have additional thoughts to send, please do so. Okay. We are definitely behind, but we got a little bit of a late start. Select board reports.
We've had a wonderful week.
All right. Mr. Reed?
Perhaps it's something I should have said when nominated before, but I do appreciate the nomination. I will do the best in my capacity to be your vice chair for this select board. I wish I had another year of experience being a board member under my belt. And I also wish that I had another year of experience being a dad under my belt.
You're going to wish that for a long time.
But you have my utmost commitment, and I do appreciate the unanimous vote. But I did have reservations beforehand, but you have my full commitment. It's not necessarily a full report, but
I appreciate that. And again, I think with a board with all 5 members with full-time jobs, we need to be very conscious of how we use our time and make sure that we're using our time to best effect. A few quick reports from me. I got to take part, thank you, Mr. Renshaw, in a tabletop emergency, I don't even know what, emergency planning exercise where we kind of role-played our way through a potential emergency situation, working with fire, police, human services, steamship authority, multiple members of representatives of other nonprofits, AmeriCorps. I'm not even sure who else was in the room. It was a large group, and it was a really great exercise to really get a sense of how these things work and how we get prepared for events that we hope never happen.
Where was that?
That was at the EOC.
The EOC at fire headquarters.
Last week.
And we'll do more of those and involve more select board members. I think it's important that you have to exercise the plan to know kind of where your weaknesses are. So it'll be important.
Other board members will be pleased to know that communication, emergency management, and communication with the community was a large part of the exercise, certainly. I attended the last beach committee meeting, and things are in ramp up. I think it would be excellent if we could get an update from our beach superintendent about our kind of preseason, early season activities, where we are and how things are shaping up for this season. And I believe she said she was available at the next, on June 8th. But I think that would be beneficial for the whole board to hear how things are going this year. And did just want to share, at the request of the DEIB committee, some feedback about the way that our previous last discussion when they were present went. They did not feel that their work was fully respected by the board. The memo that they had provided, not really getting mentioned. And so I think just a reminder to all of us that our committees are doing an immense amount of volunteer work, and that we need to be mindful of that work that they are providing, the expertise that they provide, and the advice that they do provide us. So. Yes, Ms. Klein.
Just to share that Mr. Reed and I are going to be attending a training not this Friday, but next Friday, June 12th, which is hosted up in Devon, Mass., and that's for newly elected select board members. And so it's a networking opportunity, but also an overview of, procurement law, open meeting law, and just reinforcement of some of the fundamentals. So we'll be taking advantage of that opportunity.
I hope it goes forward, because I think that it's been canceled once or twice, if I remember correctly. So keep watching your emails. There would have been an announcement, but it would have been an announcement, but on June 9th, there will be a housing forum that the Falmouth Housing Partnership is presenting in the Select Board room from 9 until 10:30.
Excellent.
Tough timing.
Yeah.
It is, indeed. Okay, any other reports from members? Future agenda items, and do you want to jump in?
I did. Thank you, Dr. Goldstone. So I wanted to, it's been asked in the past about training, cybersecurity training and iPad training. We have lined that up tentatively. Both the IT director and Diane Davidson in your office is available next Monday, June 8th. I don't know what your availability is, but I just wanted to offer that up. I'd like to get that completed, particularly the cybersecurity training, because there are some additional threats that environment has kind of escalated recently.
So we're thinking of like an hour before our regular meeting?
I think that'd be appropriate. I think, if we could plan on meeting at 5:30, I think that'd give us enough time. The cybersecurity presentation that Don Lewis, the IT director, would provide is about 20, 25 minutes. And then depending on questions, and the iPad training is more about the functionality of the platform, the full use of the platform. That Diane can walk us through, making annotations that only the select board member can see, that sort of thing. There's a lot of functionality that's not being leveraged, I think, with the new platform.
Okay.
I believe we had slated for that next meeting as well our deep dive on the tax ramifications of capital borrowing and overrides and residential exemptions. Is that still feasible for? Okay, and I think that will not be, well, obviously, it will not be a complete workshop setting, because we do also have now 2 hearings for that meeting, and I'm hoping that we can also do some longer range agenda planning through that meeting. I would like to ask that all boards come with your lists of top priorities for the coming 6 to 12 months in terms of major issues that you would like to see on the agenda, and my hope is that we can do a bit of a quick prioritizing exercise during that meeting, so that we can then come back with a proposal for workshops and
For next week?
Yes,
Okay.
for next week, to get those ideas on the table and start to do some prioritizing. Yes.
2 agenda requests. One, financially, I'd like to get on the table what the plan is for 2028 balancing the budget, because there's, I think, the ramifications of compounding efforts if we can nip this in the bud. So a specific discussion about the 2028 budget would be good. The other one is Jed waited very patiently the other night to go at the very end about the local comprehensive plan. I'm not one for hierarchy, but it seems that the select board is the governing body, planning board and others are next step down or across, and then others, yet the local comprehensive plan seems inverted, that is the driver of our strategy. So I'm just wondering if we can have a local comprehensive plan and select board strategic planning discussion to understand how the 2 work together and what supersedes the other one. So
I think that would be a great topic for a joint meeting with the planning board,
Okay.
who I believe holds primary responsibility for the local comprehensive plan, with strong participation from the select board per our charter, and then the select board, the strategic plan is our primary. So I think that's a really good conversation for us to have with
yeah, and
with
which
the
one
planning board.
feeds into which, so thank you.
Excellent. So yeah, so keep those other ideas for big agenda items that you anticipate. Obviously, it's not ruling anything out going forward, but to try to get a bit more of a plan on things. If there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Don't everybody move at once. All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Hosting services for fctv.org are provided by MegaNet Communications. MegaNet offers a wide array of internet services, including Mega Backup Cloud Service, server colocation, T1, fiber, Metro Ethernet, as well as telephone services such as hosted PBX and digital voice. Their #1 goal is to keep your communications network up and running and allow you to focus on growing your business. 877-634-2638 or meganet.net.
Proudly serving the New England area, K&K Talent Partners provide a personalized approach to full-cycle recruiting services.
Their level of integrity and empathy is rare, and it speaks volumes about who they are as people and as recruitment partners.
Our goal is to build trusted relationships and to create genuine connections that help companies grow.
K&K Talent Partners, kktalentpartners.com.
At Martha's Vineyard Bank, we know Falmouth, with locations in Woods Hole, on Palmer Avenue, and the Village Green. We deliver personal banking tailored to your needs, business solutions to help you grow, flexible lending to move you forward, and investment strategies that work for you. Whatever brings you in, we're your local partner. Martha's Vineyard Bank, your goals, our guidance.